Here is a question that is going to completely change the way you think about money, success, and your future. Does working hard make you rich? And the answer, as uncomfortable as it might feel to hear this, is no. Working hard will never make you rich. And before you close this video and walk away, I want you to stay with me for just a moment, because what I am about to break down for you is something that most people spend their entire lives never fully understanding. Make sure you like this video, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss content like this on Rich Mindset, because we are just getting started. Your whole life, someone has been feeding you the same story. Work hard and you will make it. Put your head down, grind it out, stay dedicated, and success will eventually find you. Parents told you this. Teachers told you this. Motivational speakers built entire careers telling you this. But here is the honest truth that most people are too uncomfortable to say out loud. That is a lie. And it is not just any ordinary lie. It is a very deliberate, very calculated lie that benefits a very specific group of people while keeping everyone else exhausted, stuck, and blaming themselves for not doing enough. The sooner you see it for exactly what it is, the sooner your life can actually begin to move in a real direction. Now, to be fair, rich people do work hard. That part is true. But they are not rich because they work hard. They are rich because they own things. They own assets that generate money for them while they sleep, while they vacation, while they are doing absolutely nothing at all. The hard work you see from wealthy people is a side effect of already having wealth and opportunity. It is not the cause of it. And if you miss that distinction, you will spend decades grinding away and wondering why nothing is changing. Think about this for a moment. There is a woman in Bangladesh right now making the shirt on your back. She works 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, in a factory with no air conditioning for $2 a day. Is she not working hard? She is working harder than most wealthy people will ever work in their entire lives. But she will never be rich. And that single example should tell you everything you need to know about whether hard work alone creates wealth. It does not. Ownership creates wealth. And those are two very different things. So let us break this down in the simplest way possible, because once you truly understand this, you will never be able to look at money the same way again. There are two ways to make money in this world, and almost everything comes back to this. The first way is selling your time. This is what the vast majority of people do every single day. You show up, you work, you get paid, and then you do it all over again the next day. It is called having a job, and there is nothing wrong with having a job, but there is a fundamental and unavoidable problem with it. You only have 24 hours in a day. That is your hard limit. You cannot create more time. You cannot squeeze extra hours out of the clock. No matter how dedicated you are or how disciplined your schedule is, you will never work more hours than exist in a single day. And that means your income has a ceiling built right into it from the very beginning. Even if you hustle and grind and get promoted and eventually find yourself earning $100,000 or $200,000 a year, that feels like success on the surface. And in many ways it is comfortable and secure, but you are still not truly wealthy. Because the moment you stop working, the money stops too. You are not building anything that lasts. You are essentially renting out your life, trading your hours for dollars, and the second you stop making that trade, everything stops with it. And here is the part that should really make you think. The hardest working people in this country, construction workers, nurses, truck drivers, farm workers, the people doing real physical labor every single day in difficult conditions for long hours, many of these people are barely surviving paycheck to paycheck. If hard work were genuinely the key to wealth, these people would be the richest people alive. But they are not. And that alone proves beyond any reasonable doubt that hard work is simply not the variable that determines who gets wealthy and who does not. The second way to make money is owning things, and this is where everything changes. When you own assets, those assets generate income for you whether you are awake or asleep, whether you are working or on vacation, whether you are paying attention or completely checked out. Stocks, businesses, real estate, intellectual property, creative work that earns royalties, these things produce value around the clock without you having to personally trade your time for every single dollar. And because you are not limited by the number of hours in a day, there is no ceiling on what you can earn. That is the entire difference between the wealthy and everyone else. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon stock. Amazon is generating revenue and growing in value while he is doing literally nothing, and his wealth grows right along with it. That is not magic. That is ownership. And the hard work you see from people like him is built on top of that foundation of ownership, not in place of it. Now here is where it gets even more interesting, and honestly, a little uncomfortable. It is not just that hard work does not make you rich. Working too hard can actually prevent you from becoming rich in the first place. Think about what happens when you are working 60, 70, or 80 hours a week just to keep your head above water. When do you have time to learn new skills? When do you have time to read, to think, to plan, to explore new possibilities, to build something of your own? You come home exhausted, you eat, you sleep, and you get up and do it all again. Every single drop of your energy is poured into surviving, and nothing is left over for growing. You are on a hamster wheel. You are moving constantly, working constantly, but you are not actually going anywhere. The wheel just keeps spinning, and your employer, the person who owns the business you work for, they absolutely love that you work hard. They celebrate it. They give you performance reviews that praise your dedication. They call you a team player. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself why they want you working so hard? It is because your hard work makes them wealthy. Every hour you show up and produce value, you generate more than you are paid. The difference between what you produce and what you receive as your paycheck goes directly to the owner. That is not an accident, and it is not a conspiracy. It is simply how ownership works. The owner takes on the risk, and in exchange, the owner captures the profit. Your labor is the engine that drives that profit, and the more efficiently and energetically you work, the more fuel you pour into an engine that someone else owns. That is the structure. That is the foundation. And no amount of hard work changes that structure as long as you remain on the labor side of it rather than the ownership side. So if ownership is the path to wealth, you might be wondering why everyone does not just go build something and own it. And this is where we have to be honest about the very real barriers that stand in the way, because dismissing those barriers does not help anyone. The first barrier is capital. Imagine you have a brilliant business idea and you need $100,000 to bring it to life. If you grew up in a poor or working-class household, you likely do not have that money. Your family does not have it. Your friends do not have it. So you go to a bank and ask for a loan, and the bank asks you for collateral, meaning assets they can seize if you fail to repay. But you do not have assets because you are poor, and that is exactly why you need the loan in the first place. So either they turn you away entirely, or they offer you financing at 15% interest because you are considered high risk. And now, you are trying to build your dream while already buried under a mountain of debt before you have sold a single product or served a single customer. The second barrier is your network, and this one is perhaps more invisible, but just as powerful. Networks are not really built from scratch. They are mostly inherited and accumulated over generations. If you grew up in a wealthy household, your parents already know investors, attorneys, business owners, and people with influence. Your college connections open doors. Introductions happen naturally. Opportunities come to you. But if you grew up without those connections, you are genuinely starting from zero, and no amount of personal hustle will instantly hand you a network that took other families decades or generations to build. The third barrier is the cost of failure. And this one hits the hardest. If you are wealthy and you start a business that collapses, you have a safety net waiting for you. Maybe you move back home for a while. Maybe your family helps you recover. Maybe you have savings or a trust fund that gives you room to breathe and try again. You fail 5 times, 10 times, and eventually one attempt succeeds, and then the world calls you a self-made entrepreneur who never gave up. But nobody talks about the safety net that made it possible to keep trying. Poor people do not have that safety net. If your business fails and you are already living close to the edge, the consequences can be absolutely devastating. And the fear of that, the very real fear of losing everything with no one to catch you, stops so many brilliant people from ever trying at all. Now here is the deeper layer of this conversation, and it is the one that ties everything together. The idea that hard work leads to wealth is not just a well-meaning piece of advice that happens to be wrong. It actually serves a very specific and deliberate purpose within the way our economy is organized. Think about it practically. Any functioning economy needs workers, stores need staff, factories need employees, services need people to deliver them every day. If everyone was focused on building ownership and passive income, who would actually do all the work that keeps everything running? So to maintain a stable and reliable workforce, the system needs a compelling story to tell. And the story it tells is this: work hard and you can make it too. The dream is real and it is available to everyone. Just keep going and your turn will come. That story gives people hope. And hope is a powerful thing. Hope keeps people showing up. Hope keeps people working. But that story does something else too. Something more subtle and more damaging. It turns wealth and poverty into moral categories. If this is truly a fair system where success comes to those who earn it through hard work, then wealthy people must deserve their wealth because they worked for it, and poor people must deserve their poverty because they did not work hard enough. That framing puts all of the responsibility on the individual and takes it entirely away from the structure. And when people are busy blaming themselves for not being disciplined enough or not hustling hard enough, they are not asking bigger questions about why the people who work the hardest so often earn the least, and why the people who own the most so often work the least. That is the system protecting itself. And understanding that is the first step toward actually changing your position within it. So what actually creates wealth if hard work alone does not? Let us be completely clear about this. Ownership is the most reliable path to building real wealth over time. You need to own things that generate income without requiring your constant time and presence. Stocks, businesses, real estate, creative assets, anything that earns while you live your life. The challenge, as we discussed, is that you need starting capital, and if you are beginning with very little, the path is harder, but not impossible. Inheritance is statistically the easiest route to wealth, being born into money, property, networks, and opportunity. Most people cannot control this, but understanding how much of what looks like individual success is actually generational advantage helps you see the full picture more clearly. Luck plays a role too, being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, having something take off unexpectedly. But luck is random and unplannable, so building your entire strategy around it is not wise. And then there is building something that others benefit from, starting a business that creates genuine value and growing it to the point where the systems and structures you have built are earning even when you personally step back. This is genuinely possible for more people, but it requires capital, courage, time, and usually some combination of good timing and strong relationships. So does all of this mean you should stop working hard? Absolutely not. But there is a world of difference between working hard for someone else's dream and working hard to build something of your own. Work hard to develop skills that give you more leverage and more options. Work hard to understand investing, even if you are starting with a very small amount, because even small ownership is better than no ownership at all. Work hard to build genuine relationships with people who are moving in the direction you want to go. Work hard to create something, anything, that you actually own. Stop pouring all of your energy into a machine that someone else built and someone else profits from, and start directing even a portion of that energy toward building something that belongs to you. The path to wealth is ownership. Not just effort, not just hustle, not just showing up early and staying late. Ownership is what changes the equation, and the sooner you internalize that truth and let it guide your decisions, the sooner you can stop running harder on the hamster wheel and start figuring out how to step off it entirely and build something real. That is the mindset shift. That is the truth that most people never get told. And that is exactly what Rich Mindset is here for, to give you the kind of thinking that actually moves your life forward. If this video opened your eyes even a little, do me a favor right now. Hit the like button, leave a comment below, and tell me what resonated with you the most. And make sure you subscribe to Rich Mindset so you never miss a video. We are here every week with content designed to help you think differently about money, wealth, and your future. See you in the next one.